Uncultured Swine, a member of society which is seen as an outcast, knows nothing, and lives under a rock. Hi, welcome to Culture by the Uncultured. We are three ordinary people that believe everyone has a voice. This is a no beat around the bush conversation. It is raw, unscripted take on the state of pop culture from three everyday people. Today we have some serious topics. For the most part, we're just going to have a discussion and kind of see how everybody feels about the topic. First and foremost, I would like to just briefly state that Nipsey Hussle is laid to rest. At his funeral service, there was lots of artists for the family that came out, and a lot of people from Los Angeles attended the service. It was at the Staples Center. Lots of performers, looked very heartfelt. It was a very beautiful service. Many uplifting words and wise words were shared and spoken. Some notable names: Anthony Hamilton, Janae Aiko, Marsha Ambrosius, Snoop Dogg, Big Boy, his mother, of course, Lauren London, his wife. They all shared things. Black Sam, for me, that was probably the closest one. I thought that was really good. Like, he talked a lot about their childhood and things that Nipsey were doing that just kind of, made him stand out. Thought the story about him building a computer was great. It was a beautiful service. They gave him his victory lap. They drove him, I believe it was 25 miles around the city, going through the neighborhoods before laying him to rest. While it was a beautiful service, unfortunately, either during or afterwards, it appears that the LAPD may have been disrespecting Nipsey Hussle over the radio waves. I don't really want to talk about necessarily the specifics of what they said. The game posted on Instagram, and it's kind of been in the news a little bit lately. I'm not sure if there's any way to actually tell if the captured audio is specifically from the LAPD or not, whether it's faked or actually from their radio waves. Of course, the LAPD is denying the claims. They're saying that that's not them or their guys, and that it's impossible to hack into their waves because they're digital or something. I'm not a computer guy, so I don't know exactly how all that stuff works. With that being said, so not only has the LAPD seemed to have disrespected Nipsey Hussle, a news anchor woman from Fox News named Laura Ingraham has also decided to give her 2 cents or unintelligent perception of Nipsey Hussle. Sam, your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, to me, she has a history of speaking out about matters she doesn't fully understand or doesn't see. As far as I can tell, you can tell she's like, quote unquote, high class or elite status, that she doesn't have to worry about the day-to-day struggles of everybody. At one point she spoke out against LeBron James, told him, shut up and dribble.
Also, I heard about that. So that is that woman. Okay.
Yeah. She's spoken out about, migrants, even though one of her adoptive children are from Guatemala.
Oh, wow.
But I feel like everything she just said is just pretty much distasteful, My thing is, I feel like you shouldn't speak ill will towards the dead or bad towards the dead. Yeah, in a historical sense, like Hitler, we know Hitler was a bad guy and we have evidence of it. But for someone who's doing great things towards the community and whatnot, it's like tarnishing someone's legacy when it doesn't need to be done.
Yeah.
So like I've been to like funerals and everything where people have talked about like bad about their dad, or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's like at some point, like passing, you have to give people time to grieve. This family is still grieving. So if she would have came out a few months later and said it, people will still have a soft, tender spot about it. But I wouldn't expect nothing less of her. And even then, she did get like some of the information wrong. So
yeah.
Well, I want to backtrack with the LAPD situation. They claim that you couldn't intercept their radio, but I don't know if you've ever been around a cop. Well, yeah, obviously you guys have been around a cop. So, so I'm just saying someone could easily record the radio while they're right there. Like you could record it on your phone. So you don't necessarily have to intercept the radio because, you hear the person commenting on it while in the recording, responding to it. So it could very well be someone hearing it and recording it.
Absolutely.
That was kind of a lame excuse. Like,
yeah, I'm sure, like we talked about a little bit before, it probably has something to do with the fact that, they're supposed to meet with him. And I'm sure not only does it look bad, because it's just disrespectful and distasteful, but like in the community's eyes and in many even potentially conspiracy theorists' eyes, that situation just kind of raised, like red flags kind of get raised even further, So everything about that is just in poor taste and extremely negative. And I would hope, if for me, I hope that it's fake, but I have no idea personally.
Even if it's fake, whoever said it, it's kind of completely inappropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, absolutely. It is very inappropriate. I just would hope that, our boys in blue would be a little bit more respectful and tasteful than to say those kinds of things about someone especially after they passed away, and especially after, on the day of the funeral as well,
Yeah, you'd hope, but at this point, I don't really expect much of cops.
LAPD doesn't have the best reputation either.
No.
LAPD never had the best reputation.
That is true. That's very true. Back to Laura Ingraham briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing she said, I believe she said to him, this dear artist, which like when you take the whole thing in, it just almost seems as if it was a facetious comment that she was just kind of being.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And then even with just, I hate how like she says that about him. And then she says that he made this song recently. Fuck Donald Trump. We can cuss on here. We're not the news, so we can cuss on here. She says that he made the song Fuck Donald Trump. And then as the screen comes up, it shows, Fuck Donald Trump by YG. That I just thought, I was like, man, are you serious right now? And then she goes on to say something about that that it's related to the lowest unemployment ever, basically for African Americans, which I'm assuming she means, you're saying fuck Donald Trump, so you're saying fuck the lowest unemployment rate ever for African Americans, right? Mm-hmm. Something along those lines. Which is, it's so crazy to me how these people in these positions that are like here to give us the news, whatever the news may be, whatever's going on and whatever's trending, whatever, is a big story at the time. I don't understand how these people are allowed to have jobs and maintain these jobs. Like, the only thing I could think of is shock value, maybe, and they're just like riding on those waves. But the thing that kind of struck me about the whole situation when I first saw this from the game's Instagram page once again before I looked into it myself. But he said, he added Fox or whatever, saying that we want her gone, she needs to be gone, or we're going to stop supporting you and all that, this, that, and the third, whatever. I don't know how many people in the Black community are actually watching Fox News. I'm sure maybe in red states there's a little bit more. I don't know, but I mean, I don't personally fuck with the news like that. That's just not my cup of tea. It tends to be negative, and I don't really need all that negativity in my life. But with that being said, the thing that shocked me was that he just wanted her fired, right? She has a co-host. There's a guy right there next to her. I'm not sure the gentleman's name, but he's right there smiling along with her, not trying to correct her. Doesn't seem to be like, oh crap, did you just say that? Nothing like that. He's right along with he's riding along with the show. But I wanted to take it a step even further and say, not only did she say this, but this was probably approved by someone. She has someone that's in charge of, the stories and, how the show's going to go, and a director of some sorts. I'm not sure exactly what it's called when it comes to news, but somebody higher up than her said, yeah, go ahead and give the story. Go ahead and talk about it. Maybe she has some leeway to be able to kind of voice her own opinions, but the video clip was uploaded by somebody, and somebody was told, hey, put this video on there. They were definitely notified that they were going to talk about Nipsey Hussle and his relation to the song, Fuck Donald Trump. And then she might have had a free reign to kind of just say whatever her thoughts were about it, But how are we not calling for the cancellation of that? Everybody in that chain, the higher ups, people that are higher than her.
Because it's Fox News, and they built a reputation about talking about minorities or discrediting minority leaders, and pretty much saying, "Look at us, we're the right way to go. We're the good ones." But that's just them. Like, they literally don't care. Fox News, even their reporters will tell you, like, they're not real journalists. They're personalities. That's what they do.
So crazy.
Well, and the thing about holding people accountable, we always just hold the face.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
We don't hold everyone behind the scenes. We hold the face accountable. And I mean, I would think after the LeBron James comments, I mean, I'm sure she's probably said other inappropriate comments towards minorities. You said something about migrants, and you would think she would, maybe check what she's saying first before she says it because of the backlash. But I'm guessing she has to have some kind of control there. So I think she is just as at fault as anyone else.
It would almost seem like she has some kind of control. And
well, everybody has control of your mouth. No one can force you to say something you don't believe in or don't want to say.
Absolutely true. I feel like she probably, because you said something about her maybe kind of checking what she's going to say because of the backlash. But if she's just able to say whatever she wants, if she's in charge, even, if she's on that level, if she has that much power, why are we giving this to her? I'm sure there's a way for people to act and act accordingly, especially when it comes to work related things, professionalism, things like that. I feel like I've seen people get fired for a lot less than saying something outrageous about somebody.
It's Fox News. They say a whole bunch of outrageous shit. No one's holding anyone accountable over there. That's just what they do. They do whatever they want just to push whatever agenda they're trying to push.
How does news make money? Is it
advertising?
Rating? Okay, advertising. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, if it was just ratings, shouldn't that like largely affect like something like this program? I mean, even if it's across the nation, then it's just like there should be hella people who are just like tuning this out. And I feel like there are hella people tuning this out. But I guess like
there's still that population that is tuning in. That's the issue.
That's absolutely true. It's, yeah, I don't know.
Because we don't put enough money into education so people can realize, oh, this is just all lies, just trying to manipulate me into whatever they're trying to sell.
I don't know. It just strikes me as odd that like people just can't see that there's something wrong with like speaking about the dead like this or something, you know, especially when like somebody like Nipsey Hussle, like a big thing for him that I've been seeing a lot in like social media in general is people like, oh, now that he's dead, y'all want to represent him, y'all want to listen to his music now that he's dead, or y'all want to go to the Marathon clothing store because he's dead, blah, blah, blah. My feelings on that, and it's the same with any artist. I don't care. I welcome people to enjoy an artist after they pass or whatever, because for some reason they heard about him. And now it gives you a reason to listen. Oh, let me check this guy out. You know, he passed away. I'm sure he has somewhat of a catalog of music. If this many people are upset or like hurt by his passing, so let me check him out. And then half the people that have heard about him or are in support of him, they don't even care about his music. From what I've been seeing comments, a lot of people are talking about what he did in his community.
It's the same issue of like, you know, how Donald Glover is like married to a white woman, or Jordan Peele is married to a white woman.
Yeah,
it's along the same lines of like people are like, oh, they can't speak on the Black community anymore because of that. But I don't have to be a fan to recognize what you're doing as a person.
Yes.
You know, I don't have to be just like you to support you. So you denying my support because I don't listen to the music, it's very
it's ignorant.
It's ignorant. Thank you for the word. But yeah, it's ignorant as hell. It's like, why am I gonna throw away your hand if you're trying to help me?
Exactly.
Like if you're honest to God trying to help me, I get it. There's people that jump on trends. Like I understand that, but there are some people like I didn't listen to Nipsey Hussle's music like that. I know a few songs of his, but I did know what he was doing to his community. What he was doing for his community, I mean to say.
Yeah.
I recognize his excellence. I recognize his motivation. He motivated me sometimes. I don't have to be a fan to like support him.
Yeah, it's just insane to me that people act that way. I had a little brief exchange with somebody who said they were like, SMH, this is gonna happen just like X's mother, XXX Tentacion, just like his mother. They're gonna use his name to make all kinds of money. And I said, good. Why shouldn't his family profit off of his name? I'm sure he would want that. If he was here present right now as a zombie or as a ghost, I'm sure he would be like, babe, do that. Get that business. Use my name to get that if you can. Whatever. However, these artists pass away and they can support their family from beyond the grave, I'm sure they're all for it, all the way 100%.
Most of them are doing it in the first place to support their family.
Exactly.
No?
Exactly. So if his name could be on 100 t-shirts and all those proceeds go directly to his wife and his kids, I'm sure he's all for it. I'm sure he's not tripping whatsoever. He's not rolling over in his grave. He's not like, oh man, how y'all doing me like this? No, he's probably like, do you, babe? Y'all get that money, get whatever you can for my legacy. I left everything for you guys, and I want you guys to have everything, you know? So I just don't get what people's logic are, especially when it comes to someone's family. That doesn't make sense to me. You know, this man had his masters. He has trust funds set up for his kids. I mean, he absolutely wants his family to profit off of whatever he did, you know? Everything that he has, everything that he did, he definitely wants his family to profit from it. I'm sorry, we went off a little bit off topic, but the Laura Ingraham thing, I'm not necessarily one for cancel culture, but I mean, it seems like she should have been canceled a long time ago. I'll be totally for that. I still wouldn't watch the news even if it was somebody else, regardless. But by all means, go ahead. Get her out of there if you guys can. But if not, they already didn't have my support, so it's not like I'd really be helping anyways. But for anybody else out there who's doing it, maybe just don't watch her segment. Check out some other stuff while she's on. I don't know. That's enough of the Nipsey thing. I guess last words about that, just rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. Hopefully, he can just rest. His family will be taken care of. And, we can continue moving forward and kind of take some of the lessons that he taught us in his music and even just what he did for his community. Alrighty then. So the next discussion that we're going to have is about something that kind of takes place in America pretty often. For the sake of this topic too, I also want to say that I feel like this is mainly an American problem. I don't necessarily have proof to substantiate that claim, besides maybe a few examples, but once again, I'm an American, so I can't really say, oh, this doesn't happen here, this doesn't happen there, because I'm not from there. But we're going to talk about blackface, right, guys?
Okay.
All right. So you guys are familiar with blackface. Do you guys want to give like your thoughts on it beforehand, before we kind of talk about any of the issues that are going on? Just kind of give your opinions in totality of what blackface is and maybe what you feel about it.
Well, I have a very strong opinion about it because, I'm of the African American persuasion. I've had people be racist against me, or, because I'm light skinned, they're like, oh, look, I'm the same color as you. Whenever they get a little dirty, I've run into that situation before.
That shit is wild.
Oh, it is definitely wild. And, the best part about it is in high school, we had Twin Day, which was, you dress up as a twin. So, little story, me and Sonny dressed up the same. We wore like a red flannel shirt, some cargo pants, and, we were twins for the day. Now, this kid I used to go to church with, not saying his name, he and another Caucasian guy decided they were going to dress up as twins.
Oh, man.
And he let his friend come to school face brown.
Really? I guess I missed that shit.
Yeah, his face was brown, and he had his hair braided, which, to most sensible people would be like, yo, what the fuck? Yeah. And, surprisingly, our school administrators didn't have a problem with it for at least 2 full hours. And I guess at that point, they realized the Black population of the school is very large, and we don't want these kids seeing that.
Yeah, that goofy face, that, oh, nah.
Yeah, right? So my thing is, like, there are certain times where blackface works, like Tropic Thunder, Robert Downey Jr. I'm just going to say, if you run out of black men to act and you need a satire of a black person, Robert Downey Jr. does it very fucking well. Just saying.
Well, and his character was talking about it too. I mean, he
wasn't just in blackface, and he wasn't black guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was a black
dude.
guy.
Disguised as another dude.
But but it works. Now, if you're just dressing up and you paint your face black and go ha 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 blah blah blah. Absolutely. No, that shit doesn't work. That's fucking racist. Just especially if you do the big lips and
like Mammy
really
character.
Really dark skin.
Especially that
whole Mammy character. Yeah, if you walk out the house and you make yourself look like Uncle Ben or Aunt Jemima, we got an issue now.
I just feel like in general, like it's 2019, so I know this conversation is coming up because of that Lithuania, Twitcher, whatever, what is it called?
Oh, yeah, Twitcher. Well, that's
cosplaying. It's 2019. Information is available worldwide. I understand. Well, I don't understand Lithuanian history, so maybe they didn't have the same race issues that we did, but it's 2019. I mean, it's been in the news many times. Maybe not specifically their news, but it just kind of, I guess, I just feel like it's been a worldwide kind of thing where people are getting upset about their culture or their race being a costume. So maybe, do a little research on that. Like, because, Asian people have been mad about that shit. Hispanics have been mad about that shit. Everybody's been mad about that shit. So, and I just feel also like, even if you have one friend who says, oh, it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe just don't.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't. Because his friend, well, not his friend, I can't say his name, in our high school gave permission to his friend, his white friend, to put on blackface. It's like, maybe just don't, because he doesn't speak for everyone. Just like, people who give someone permission to say the N-word, it's like, just don't, because not everybody does.
I mean, I feel like that's something that as an African American, you have to, I don't want to say have to, but you kind of learn that growing up, I guess, like boundaries and things like that, and like what's okay and what's not okay. And I guess that kind of goes hand in hand with learning more about your culture and your roots and the struggle your people has gone through. I, for one, am definitely guilty of allowing some people to use the N-word in my presence. But as I've gotten older, I'm just like, nah, you can't say that in front of me. Even just like people I don't know who like I've heard say like at a party or something, I'm like, yo, why are you saying that? You can't be saying that,
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. It just kind of bothers me, I guess. Like I try not to use it all the time, but I mean, I'm still guilty of using it. I'm sure a lot of people are, but it's just something that like, I don't want to say sacred because that is not like a great word, but it's just like, there was it's a clip in Family Guy where he's like N-word Jim, because I guess he calls him the N-word, and he was just like, that's our word, you can't say that, that's our word. And he's like, can you pass me the N-word Jim? And it's like it's like that, it's like, this is us, this is our thing, this is not your thing, because everybody else used it in a different way than we're using it, whether it has an ER or an A. I don't care if you know the difference, which I feel like most people, and specifically white people that I've run into, that I've ever had a conversation about this with, they do not understand the difference between the ER and the A, and I feel like it is not that hard to understand at all.
There's a difference between wanting to understand it and then like just totally letting it fly over your head.
Yeah, I've never understood that. I'm like, this is like 1 + 1 = 2. You know, it's like ER and A is totally two different sounds, and it's not hard to understand why they're not the same, why we're not using this word and we're using this word, you know. But whatever, I digress from that. Back to the blackface thing specifically. I guess my thoughts on blackface, for the most part, I'm definitely anti-blackface. I don't think that people should be using it. But like with a lot of things, I feel like there is some gray area, of course, when it comes to, let's say, like, you know, a frat of white boys, like, you know, they're on a bus and fucking hooping and hollering. They got afros and they got blackface on, and they're just ha ha ha, blah blah blah. I'm pretending to be a black guy. Look at me, you know. Like, clearly that's disrespectful as hell. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're not trying to glorify anything. You're not trying to be a specific character. You're specifically trying to emulate and make fun of, you know, a specific culture, especially if they do like, you know, the big bunch of lipstick on their lips or whatever to make them big and like make them look big and red or something, you know, or even going a step beyond and kind of just going like super old school, like the jet black and all that crap, you know, just super negative. Like that's like one of the reasons why I don't even like Tom and Jerry, because the black woman was so like, that was clearly racist as fuck, but whatever. With that being said, though, we do have other people who are not white specifically that are also, I guess you would say, guilty of using blackface, such as specifically Zoe Saldana. She got a lot of backlash for, forgive me for not knowing the character, but
Aaliyah.
Okay.
She got a backlash for playing Aaliyah.
She they gave her blackface for that because she's a little bit lighter. So it was super negative. Obviously, in the community, people were like, no, it's fucked up. How come you guys just couldn't get a dark-skinned woman, et cetera, et cetera? And she faced some backlash for that. Obviously, it was not her idea to be like, hey, just put some black paint on me or, you know, black makeup on me to make me look dark or whatever. That most likely was not her idea. But the director or whoever, you know, felt that like, okay, like, this is important. And it's something like this. And I believe I saw somebody else kind of bring this up too, that sometimes maybe if you're like lacking something, you know, like if they truly thought Zoe Saldana was the best actress for the job, but that it was important to get the character kind of spot on as far as details and skin tones and things like that, then it's like, I feel like there's a gray area in there, but it's almost, I don't even know if I can specifically say that. I feel like it's still negative, but it's...
Do you remember one of our first conversations, we were talking about like black people not liking, you know, biracial people? Yeah. If you remember when Zendaya, when she came out, people didn't like her because she was biracial.
And that's still a thing for sure.
Her dad was African, her mom's white, you know.
Yeah.
And she had to come out and pretty much say, my dad's African. So if anything, she's probably the closest thing we got, technically speaking, because there's no black person in the U.S. at this point that's 100% African. Yeah. Let's be real. So it's like in the case of Zoe Saldana, you know, Zendaya, you want to go Halle Berry, those type of actresses that are like, yes, they're fucking black, or they're black and Hispanic, or they're black and white. If they darken them up a little bit, that's not blackface. That's them doing what they do to every white actress or white actor when they do makeup, or they go back and Photoshop a model to look a little bit more tanner or paler or whatnot. It's the same exact thing. Blackface is if they would have took a white actress and then painted her face brown or black. That's fucking blackface. The other one is just dealing with shading.
Yeah. I think the main thing to note about blackface is more the intent than necessarily the act always. Because, for example, Lithuanian girl, whatever, if she was completely unaware, she's not necessarily racist. It's still blackface and not right. But it's not as bad as like an intentionally racist trying to mock or make fun of black people. And so with Zoe Saldana, obviously it was not to make fun of or, you know, stereotype or anything negative. So it's not as bad. I think it is because honestly, Hollywood needs to hire more dark-skinned women. It's just ridiculous that I promise you, there are plenty of dark-skinned women aspiring to be actors that are being passed over. So I don't think it's right that they did that still, but it's obviously not intended to offend or make fun of or anything like that. But it's a clear statement that Hollywood obviously needs to get more dark-skinned women on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like for the Lithuanian Twitcher, it's hard for me to necessarily say it's bad because, and this is the biggest reason being that she's foreign. As an American, in my eyes, it's easy for me to say that's bad. Obviously, like, because we Americans deal with racial inequalities and injustices, and, it's plastered all over the news and social media, and it's fucking lights the internet on fire consistently and constantly, right? Even like fucking mass shooter or active shooters. I mean, the kid that shot up the church, their specific targets, like the dudes in Australia that shot up the mosque, or the dude. I don't think it's dudes. I think it's a dude. One dude. Don't want to use either of those guys' names. Just those examples. But as Americans, we see this all the time. It's like a big thing. I'm sure the Australian one was the whole world. But I mean, as Americans specifically, we deal with this stuff all the time from whatever news source, from whatever story we're being told about, something that's kind of leading towards racial division, or something that's talking about racial segregation or just racism in period. But if I was not an American, there's a good chance that these might not be the same things that I'm being forced to basically bear witness to every single day. There's a good chance that I could just be raised like, okay, everybody's the same as me, no matter what their skin color is. And that's just never a thought in my head that, oh shoot, like somewhere else, there's this dude like really doesn't like me because of my accent, or because of the way my hair looks, or because of my skin color, or because of my eye color, whatever the case may be, just there's places like that.
Well, I don't think there's anywhere that doesn't have some sort of racism. I just particularly there, they might not have the same history of people of African descent or dark skin.
I mean, it exists everywhere you go.
Everywhere. I promise you,
There's
everywhere.
no place on earth I can say, unless they're completely like out of touch with all social like media or social like world news, that don't know like Black people in the States aren't like seen highly. They all know. Even in Korea, they have a term for like Black people. Are you kidding me?
Well, I can definitely understand and believe that, especially because we're located there, military base and stuff like that. But I guess I'm speaking
in Lithuania is in Europe. You don't think Europeans know what? Yeah,
I guess
they
what I'm
know.
speaking towards is something like from the perspective of Americans. Even if we go somewhere, I'm sure the three of us understand that we're going to get looked at or talked to a certain way because we're Americans first and foremost. People don't just. Americans have a bad rep anywhere we go, and Americans have their own lenses based off what we see every day because we have all these quote unquote freedoms, right? But in other countries, like, and I'm sure you're probably right. It's probably everywhere and to some degree, but probably not to the degree that we witness in America. If there is racism in Lithuania, I'm sure it's not some guy shooting up a half a dozen Black people for no reason, or, a Black dude's getting lynched every other Tuesday, or, we're hearing about civil rights activists that are fighting for something or just getting murdered off left and right, and nobody's making a peep about it. But it's, for whatever reason, the internet is ablaze about it, but the news isn't covering it, It's not as prevalent as it is here.
I mean, yeah.
So for that woman who is not an American and was raised in some foreign country, and more than likely not raised as potentially racist as somebody from these states could have been raised, from her eyes, she was just trying to be, I assume at least, in her eyes, she was just trying to be like her character, dress up as her, and the shade and everything. Fine. She didn't do anything, like she wasn't hooping and hollering all crazy, trying to be like, oh my God, look at me. Like, I'm a Black girl, look at my butt or something, or, oh, I got, a weave in my head or something. She wasn't trying to be like stereotypical or ignorant as hell or whatever because of the way she was dressing. There didn't appear to be any ill will or malicious intent. And I think that's like a big thing, kind of like what Sonny said as far as the intent whenever when people are using it, or blackface in general, people are using blackface, their intent with it. Her act, I feel like, wasn't necessarily, it's hard for me to just say that.
I'm not saying she was necessarily racist, She could just be like, I'm dressing up as my favorite character. I'm not denying that as a possibility at all. I'm just saying you cannot, it's like in the army, you can't use ignorance as an excuse.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Ignorance is there, especially if she's a Twitch streamer. So she has access to technology.
True.
She obviously has the internet. She can upload, download, search, type in, Google, all that shit. So ignorance is not an excuse when you have technology in your hand.
But if you're not raised to think that way, though,
but in general, it's 2019.
Either, because I'm not raised to think certain ways, but it doesn't mean I'm unaware of that way of thinking. I was raised as a Christian, but that doesn't mean I'm unaware of like what Muslims believe or what Buddhists believe. I know what I can do to insult someone of a different religion or race, even if I'm not raised to believe that way. it doesn't have to be how you're raised. It's how old is she?
I don't know. Probably something in her 20s.
I'm going to assume because it's Twitch, she's over the age of 17.
Yeah.
And I've said it before and I'll say it again. That is the time where you are 100% held accountable as an adult.
I mean, absolutely. She's already been held accountable for actions. She's been banned from Twitch for, I believe it's like a month. She's banned from Twitch 30 days. And I mean, to me, like that action in and of itself kind of speaks loud, because it's like, if somebody was to do that, like, for example, if somebody was to do that for real, for like with malicious intent and like do blackface, could you imagine if that person got banned for 30 days? We'd definitely be hearing about that way more than we're hearing about this chick right now already. So if they really care about that, why is it only 30 days? You get what I'm saying?
Well, for her case, if she is ignorant, I mean, I think that's a good opportunity for her to do some research. But if it was a serious issue, like someone is actually doing it, I would hope they get more than 30 days. I imagine they probably have some kind of guideline, so multiple offenses probably get you longer and longer.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, that whoever that Twitch is, especially if they're big or something, they got their one chance, and they're like, okay, I'm just gonna get banned for 30 days. I'm fine, whatever. I'll just go back to my normal routine. But back to the whole thing about the internet.
Yeah,
you're right about accountability. Because, like you said, ignorance is not an excuse. But then I just try to put myself in that situation, or in a situation about anything, really. When it comes to like dressing up, maybe in my eyes, I'm not really gonna consider, like, I had kind of an example, like fishing, for example, right? People have invited me to go fishing. I've been fishing a couple of times, whatever, no big deal. I don't really know that much about fishing, but I'm never gonna go on the internet and look it up and find out information about it. If anything, this girl probably went online and looked up good lifelink cosplays, maybe. What is something I can do, or what are things that I can do to make myself look more like her, clothing or whatever? She probably thought right away skin tone or whatever. And like you said, it's still like ignorance is not okay. But I feel like that is a thing, is that like people just aren't doing that. People aren't just researching stuff for the sake of just researching it, especially when they're not. One, when they're not trying to be offensive, and two, when that's not their intent at all. That has nothing, that's not on their mind. You know what I mean? Them being offensive isn't on their mind, and then they had no intent of being offensive in the first place. For me, at least, it's hard to just say, you should have looked it up or something, or she should have looked it up. She should have found out what Black people might have thought about that. Like, it's hard for me to say that personally. She's just trying to be like the character, so fine, And even still, I don't think it's a good thing, the whole blackface thing, because then it kind of opens up, I feel like, a can of worms, like a lot of other things. You give them an inch and they'll take a mile, like the old saying. So like this slides, and which it didn't, which is fine. But if, let's say, this slides and the next guy is just like somebody bigger, is like, oh, fuck it, I'll just do it and I'll get 30 days, whatever, And then the next guy, and then the next guy, and then you just find out that there's a whole community of Twitchers who are just like, oh, hell yeah, let's just disrespect Black people. We don't give a damn, something like that. Like, that's like the worst thing I feel like that could potentially come from this. It's kind of like a torrential downpour of disrespect using blackface or whatever fucking means possible to kind of disrespect the Black community. That's like the worst thing I think about the whole situation in general. Is not necessarily she's wrong or, she's a bad person, but just like, fuck, this could be bad potentially because other people are going to see this, and other people might get like crazy ideas like, oh shit, they didn't like that. Well, they really won't like this, like. Yeah.
Just because, some of those people are out there for what? The clout?
Absolutely.
Right?
Wow. Use a new term.
But I guess I just want to say out to the world, to all the people not listening in any country, everywhere, it's 2019. Skin color is not a costume. People's ethnicity and race is not a costume.
Can I say one thing to that, though? Because I feel like we need to have this discussion. It's important. Mm-hmm. This might push us a little bit past our time. But so obviously I saw this whole link or whatever today. And upon reading this link, of course, the first, or I guess the most popular comment was by this Black dude who was saying, OMG, people of color, they like take everything so offensively. Like, she clearly that she had no malicious intent, along those lines. He was pretty much not necessarily pro, but just like, it's fine, relax. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And a lot of people jumped in. Like, this happens whenever you talk about anything in the Black community.
My thing with that, I'm just going to defend like the Black community with this one. Look, if you've never been put in a situation, how can you understand that situation?
Absolutely true.
That's why I like when people talk about like abortions or rape and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't talk, like I can say something, but until I understand personally what that is about,
Yeah.
like what my body would have to go through if I'm physically, mentally prepared for this decision,
Yeah.
I can't say anything about that. I can't tell these people, hey, shut up complaining.
Absolutely right.
Because it doesn't affect me. You know, yeah, the Black community complains when that type of shit happened.
Yeah.
Only because for hundreds of years we've been degraded, and then we had to sit on top of another 75 years of not having the same equal rights as everybody else, to see our image being used as satire, that are like white men paint their faces black, make their lips look big, and then be shown as Black men being like these sexual deviants. And also Mr. Popo. Blackface has been used for hundreds of years. Well, not hundreds of years, but since film has become a thing.
Before film, yeah, with the vaudeville, right?
Yeah.
Those are plays and stuff.
Yeah, too.
It's been used to make fun of, prod, and show Black men. And then, you know, one of the first films to get like inducted into the Library of Congress, Birth of a Nation, they used blackface. And how was Black men like portrayed in that? We're a sexual deviant. All we're after is white women booty. That's it. That was the goal. And the men, the KKK, who killed this Black man who was out there trying to seduce every, you know, small, frail, pure white woman, was applauded as a hero when they hung him or killed him. So yeah, blackface is kind of offensive.
Absolutely.
Seeing how it was used in the past, and it will continually be offensive. There's no way to change that.
I just want to put some more information out there, since I've been doing a little research while you guys were talking.
Okay.
There is racism in Lithuania. So even starting in, I'm sure before, like they have neo-Nazi problems just like we do.
Oh shit.
A Nigerian citizen was attacked with a knife in 2015. Law enforcement tried to cover it up. I mean, so I think
that shit changes
racism.
Everything for sure. That changes everything.
Think of where Lithuania is on the map.
I'm not gonna say exactly where that is.
Eastern Europe.
Okay.
She should have known better, and she can try to claim she didn't know better. But again, ignorance is not an excuse. It's 2019. You have the internet. Just look it up.
The only thing I was gonna say about the comment specifically was, why is it that any time that a Black person doesn't agree with other people of color, that it's immediately coon, jigaboo, little gifs of like a blackface character, like dancing around and stuff? Why is that? Why do we all have to think the same, exactly the same? What is that about?
I would argue it just depends on the situation, but that's definitely the argument that conservative Black people do use. They get all upset also because they're expected to follow
the social norm,
the crowd.
Do you know what it is? It's not necessarily thinking differently. It's actively working against your own self-interest. It's what makes you that. I think it's what most people say.
Sounds right.
That's what it is. It's not, oh, this dude thinks differently from us, or he has different political views. It's no, you're defending people who actively work against our community, that actively work against you.
Anytime I've seen that word thrown around, it's never been followed by any type of intelligent remarks or preceded by that. It's always just thrown out there immediately. Somebody tries to say something about something and nobody wants to have a discussion about it. Even for myself, for example, right? There was a couple years back, there was a police shooting. I think it was like 3 cops. This dude was in handcuffs and he runs, right? And then just from little bits of knowledge that I have, I was trying to like kind of dish out like, okay, and this was with people I knew, like I went to high school with or whatever, right? I tried to dish out things that could have potentially happened, not to warrant the shooting, but like why these guys might get away with it or whatever, or what excuses they could use, not saying, oh, they were justified in this, but just saying that I could totally see them saying this about him. Or if he was, if it was a traffic stop and then it turned, like he has a freaking warrant or something and it's something dangerous or whatever. He's known to, possess firearms, or maybe he had a firearm because I think they had his backpack, whatever the case may be or whatever, right? Because the guy runs. He just runs, right? So I'm thinking of all these things that could like potentially lead them to getting off. And then immediately nothing about like, damn, that's fucked up for real. Like you think that could happen or nothing? It was, oh man, you're cooning right now. Oh, hell no, man. Like, like you against us and all this. Like, what are you talking about? I didn't say nothing about being for these people. I didn't talk about saying that like, oh no, he deserved it or nothing like that. All I'm saying are reasons that I believe, based off of my own personal experience, that could have led to this man potentially being, that could lead to these men potentially getting away with this, whatever their excuse may be. Whether it's just they cover it up and their fucking chief of police or whatever is like, no, it was different. Y'all saw it from a bad angle, whatever the fuck it may be, you know?
You went against the defensive narrative. So in their minds, you aren't with us. You are actively against us.
But how? That isn't. But you think that alone elicits coon?
No, that alone doesn't elicit a coon or quote unquote coon. You know, I don't use that term. I prefer the term self-hate.
You also have a brain too. It can have an actual discussion.
Well, we all have brains. It's just the way. Yeah. It's the formation of words. You know.
Yeah.
Some people don't know the arguments to be made. All they have are talking points.
Yeah.
That's why I can't talk to someone who just uses plain old talking points, because then I'm like, but how do you feel about it? So there are people that no matter what, free my homie, free my nigga, like, but what did your nigga do? Man, they caught him for strong arming somebody. Yeah, he deserved to be fucking locked up. What the fuck do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, there are people like that. Like, no matter what I'm not going to say all cops are good, because not all cops are good. Not all cops are bad. But sometimes people do shit to get locked up. Oh, the cops pulled you over, you hopped out the car, and then you ran? Yeah, you're going to get locked up.
Yeah.
Oh, you took a swing on somebody, they caught the cops, now the cops arrested you for assault, you're going to get locked up.
Yeah.
Now, if you just refuse to talk to the police at a traffic stop, and then they pulled your ass out the car and then locked you up, yeah, I will argue that one. But sometimes, your homie shouldn't be freed if he robbed 12 niggas with a gun. Yeah, no, he shouldn't be freed. That's armed robbery.
Especially if it's like, he did it. Like that's his MO. That's what he's
so back to what
for.
You were saying, I don't think, like, if you want to find out more information about a topic before you say, yeah, so-and-so was wrong, that's not being a coon. That is educating yourself on the topic before you speak on it, which I feel like everyone should do. I don't like speaking on topics I don't know, but that's just because I don't like to come off sounding ignorant.
Which makes total sense. I mean, you wouldn't want to speak on something you have no knowledge or any type of wherewithal about.
Look at the Jussie Smollett thing. Like, this man had Black community and the LGBT community hand in hand. Yo, whoever did that, they need to find them. We're going to kill them. Blah, blah, blah. Jussie shouldn't be treated like that. Trying to find out that what he said wasn't what happened.
The whole situation.
So who's to blame there? Yeah. Before we found out all the facts, we all jumped on the whole, we're going to defend Jussie train. Turns out Jussie didn't need to be defended, as far as we know right now.
I don't know. It's just crazy. And even inversely in that same, like, it was one specific comment and it had like a bunch of replies or whatever. And I started reading all of them because I was like, let me get the tea right now. What's going on? That stood out to me specifically. The coon thing, like immediate, just kind of backlash. Like some people had some remarks that were intelligent, like this is why it's not okay and things like that. And I respect that entirely. If you have something to say to me without being disrespectful, I absolutely am all ears. I'm not going to turn you away or say, no, you're just wrong, like without either trying to defend my side or acknowledging, yeah, you know what, you're making sense right now. That's logical as fuck,
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that though, I don't know if you guys will agree with this or not, but I am not at all for non-people of color trying to tell people of color how to be or what to be offended by. That shit, oh my God.
Like I tell people it all the time because, yes, I'm in the Army, so people complain about Sharp and EO and, oh, we can't say this or we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I will say it, and I will say it till my last breath. It is not how you meant it.
Yeah.
It's how the other person took it. If you said something and I felt offended by it, you do not get to tell me whether you offended me or not. Now you can say, hey, Sam, look, I did not mean for it to be taken in that type of way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Right there, smash, cool, boom, bop, out of the way. But if you come out, man, stop being a little bitch about it. Like, I didn't offend you. Like, oh, you're just being a little bitch, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm like, all right, you know what? Fuck you, bro. Now I'm really about to offend you because I don't go tell.
Yeah.
I don't tell people. I'm an adult. I can handle shit myself.
That happens all throughout the Army, but whatever.
But like if you hit on a girl and she's like, "Hey, yo, stop," and then you go back and you hit on her again, and she's like, "Hey, look, you're getting kind of annoying," and you do it that third time, you harassed her, bro. Like
absolutely, even if that wasn't your intent,
took it to a personal level. She feels offended now. That's not for you to say, "Oh man, I wasn't harassing this person."
You think the second attempt was also necessary? I think if she said no the first time, the second time is you're harassing. Leave me alone.
She gave me three. Yeah,
three times is definitely.
Yeah, like, but if after that first time, if I'd be like, "Hey, yo, you look good," and you go like, "Thank you, but I'm not into you."
I have a boyfriend,
or I have a boyfriend. Or I'm not into you. Yeah, I'm not gonna attempt that second one. That's just me.
Yeah, you should just. Everyone should just leave it to them. They will approach you later if they are interested ever again.
I was banging Master P one day at work.
Oh yeah.
Late 90s Louisiana hip hop, and someone's like, "Hey, that music kind of offends me." My initial reaction was like, "Yo, my bad. Let me change the song."
Exactly.
Because it doesn't matter how I feel about it; it's how you feel about it. And until people realize that, ain't nothing gonna change.
That's true, man. I don't. Oh yeah, in the case of
case of race, I've had arguments with people, and I literally had someone's like, "Oh, name one time someone's done something racist to you," and I'm like, "I grew up in the South. Like, you want me to name one specific occasion, or you want me to name multiple occasions? Like, people have been racist towards me."
I can name multiple occasions as well.
Like, one of the worst ones I feel like when people are like, "Oh, you're not really black," or "Oh, you're not like them," and then they're like, "Oh, what's wrong with that?" It's like, well, that's a racist statement because now you're telling me I'm not as black, or my value as a black man is different from his value as a black man. Yeah. Like you don't get to tell us that.
When I was younger, I got a lot of that, and usually it was because of the way I spoke or something, or because I have quote unquote good hair or whatever. And growing up, like even if like somebody probably believes that's a compliment to me, I'm like, dude, that's not a compliment. Just so you know, like no, like I don't talk white. I talk proper. If that's what you're trying to say, my hair is genetic. It's has nothing to do with my people or anything like that. It's just, this is from my mom and my dad, the mixture of the two of them, and this is what I got, like, and nothing about me makes me better than my fellow African Americans or worse, so that shit it took me a while to learn that. Obviously, once again, it's just, growing up and learning more about like the cultural differences and the struggle of my people and stuff like that. So I definitely know that now. That shit is definitely not a compliment, even if people want you to perceive it as such.
Yeah, because for one, it's usually typically trying to say white qualities or things they associate with white people is better. Yeah, is the key message that they're sending you.
But yeah, man. I mean, I hope racism can end one day, but I mean, I've always felt like it won't happen in our lifetime.
Definitely not in our lifetime. And again, like we said, probably first or second episode, the world's going to end in 10, 12 years anyway, so racism will just die with all of us, I guess.
I hope the world doesn't end in 10 or 12 years. I don't think we're going to hit VR by that time.
They have some whatever. VR. They have those tracks, the VR tracks that you can get the leg. You go
Ready Player One VR. Directions. I'm trying to be all in.
Technology progresses pretty fast. So just if they have enough money to put into it, it could get there. But, the government and, billionaires aren't really putting their money into that. They're, trying to.
We were supposed to have flying cars already.
Yeah. Well, is that a priority, really? Like, let's save the planet first. Like, let's have oxygen to breathe.
Real, but I mean, do enough people care, though? Do we have enough people that care?
I feel like no. Yeah.
One thing I feel like I have noticed, at least in the civilian world, I don't know so much in the Army. Maybe Sam can give more of a mention of that or whatever, but I feel like I've seen a lot less people smoking cigarettes.
Everybody's vaping.
You think that's what it is specifically, though, or I feel like I've seen a lot of vapors, of course, because like that's, like you said, it's like the new trend. But I feel like I see, like, compared to how many smokers I would see, like I feel like in like the early 2000s or even the 90s as a kid, I feel like I don't see that many vapors now or smokers, period. Like I feel like it's a lot less in general.
Yeah, in general, I think it is. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but that's because, now we know how harmful it is for you.
Yeah.
Even though some of us decide to smoke or, vape. Plus, more people have realized that marijuana is not that bad for you.
Yeah, and why smoke cigarettes if you could just get high? Like, God, I want to get high.
But no, technically, we were supposed to be the first generation to stop smoking.
Well, for one, we can't afford it.
It's like $10 a pack of cigarettes. No, I know it ain't cheap.
It's like $5.
Some people go through one a day. So
yeah, true. I mean, you could smoke old man cigarettes. Pall Malls. That's like $3 a pack. Ooh, yeah. Virginia Slims puffing on air. Everybody, great grandma smoke Virginia Slims.
Well, we have other addictions, that give us the same level of satisfaction, like social media, cell phones, video games,
Xanax.
As an addict, I let Percocets and Xannies relax me. I have never taken.
You even know about the sound? You just be talking.
Xanax.
Yeah, what do you know?
Percocet.
What kind of people I see I used to see on a daily basis, like on pills and shit. It's a real thing. You go to someone's house, hey, are you on something right now?
I'm saying, what do you know, Sam?
I know Percocets and Oxys.
What? Because you got them at the hospital again.
Yeah. So cool. So you didn't give it the illegal way. You're super lame for that.
Yeah, so lame.
That's wild.
I catch these lame ass hands.
Wow. Okay. Now you're threatening us. Okay. Well, I think that about wraps up the episode this week. Unless you guys want to do it this or that. Do you guys have any in mind specifically? No. All right.
I just want to remind the listeners of one thing, because this conversation, we got into race, and I'm just going to say it. I'm going to unwhitewash a little whitewashed history for those that might not have known. Rosa Parks sat on the bus. She was not an old lady, and her feet weren't tired. She was a 42-year-old seamstress. She was part of the civil rights movement for at least 20 years. She was not, quote-unquote, peaceful. Matter of fact, in her autobiography, she will tell you that, her granddaddy passed as a white man and used to carry a pistol on his hip. And it was known that anybody who messed with his grandchildren would meet his pistol. So, in her own words, when she was sitting on the bus and the police were talking to her and trying to get her to get up, she was not thinking about, I'm going to be part of history. She was thinking about her granddaddy and his pistol and what he would be doing right now. Matter of fact, her husband, because they were so active in the civil rights movement, they had a multitude of weapons on their coffee table, and they did not know when they were going to get killed because they used to get death threats. And when she had people over to her house, she would forget to offer them a drink or food because there were so many guns laying around. She didn't know where to put the refreshments.
Holy shit, Rosa Parks was a badass.
So, a little actual history. Rosa Parks was not this non-militant, peaceful protester. She was very much, I'm going to defend myself.
There should be a movie about it.
There should be. But, people like to prefer the peaceful old black people protesting to...
Well, you could probably look at it as a pro, and there's pros and cons to both ways it's presented, I think.
Would you guys think that a show about a bunch of great African-American leaders in the past, going into another world and teaming up and being the heroes of this place, would that be super cool?
I think it would be cool, but there was a show, an animated show with historical figures in high school.
I remember
that got canceled because it offended people by Gandhi's portrayal.
Yeah, I remember that.
I just feel like that would probably face the same fate.
What was Gandhi's portrayal? Was it super negative?
It was kind of I don't know, ADD or hyper kind of
Gandhi.
And I feel like maybe he was not necessarily a ladies' man, but maybe
Gandhi was a racist and he used to lay in bed with other women.
Really?
Yeah. Gandhi was not
why is history so fucked up?
Because people would rather see an angel than for who people really are.
It was called Clone High. Clone High was the show.
That sounds
crazy. It's reported Gandhi used to laying in bed with women that weren't his wife
in real life
and have orgasms without touching them or some shit like that.
Oh my
God. In the show, he's a wild party animal who tries to become popular by being outrageous. So I guess that's better than what some of the things he actually was technically, but people get offended because beloved symbols. So that's the only thing I'd worry about in regards to your idea. Otherwise, yeah, it's cool because it's just fun.
He did all that stuff, but how? Well, I can't even ask that
because how he was later in life.
Yeah, I was gonna say Martin Luther King cheated on his wife, so I mean, we can't really.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Everybody has their own.
Malcolm X was a pimp.
Excuse me?
Malcolm X was a pimp.
I'm not ready for this.
You didn't know that?
I'm not ready for this. All right, that's enough. We're gonna wrap up here. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. But I'm definitely not ready for Malcolm X was a pimp right now.
Bro, I almost got sent to detention for writing a paper on Malcolm X in like sophomore year of high school because I told the truth.
Definitely gonna look into this, Sam. This is way too fucking interesting to not look into. All right, with that being said, though, we'll wrap up today's episode. And this is going to be Sam, Sunny, and Taylor B saying peace out. See y'all next week.